discussion on the zoning map and information distributed at the June 22nd council meeting. The city council decided to send it back to us to reconsider. And I guess that's where we are right now. It's taking a look at the map again and determining how we want to present it to the council. Hopefully everybody has a copy, right?
I have more copies.
Somebody doesn't. Oh, Jerry Frey doesn't have one, do you?
No, he was flying in late.
Take them out of here.
Steve and I and Katie and Sharon were at the council meeting. Do any of you want to report on the conversation or?
Well, I guess that we think this is economic development in rezoning this, and so when the landowner said that he would go with 40 acres, that he would spot zone that really didn't meet our expectations or our qualifications for this particular area. We think that we need to do the whole thing, and the idea that maybe we can get some residential homes built in this property, and we don't think, as I assume, we don't think that just doing 40 acres is really what we want to do. We should do it all, and in these two particular ag areas. Of course, agriculture is going to go on in those areas because everything there is grandfathered in. I think the main reason to put it into residential is that people can build houses on a smaller amount of ground, but they can do it on 1 acre instead of 10 acres, which are required in agriculture. And most people that are going to build a house don't want to buy 10 acres. I think the price probably is prohibitive.
What did you have in mind, Jim, when you sent it back to us? Did you disagree with the way that we handled it?
Everything except, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but the south part of the country, that George wants to keep that in ag, and he would go with putting part of that to the west of 16th
Across
Street.
the road.
Yeah, he would allow that to go in.
Yeah, I understand that. That's what he said that night here.
And then leave the South Country Club as it is now. And that's kind of what. Yeah, that's good.
But it was
So
agreed
just the
that-
country club, but he also didn't want to rezone the...
No, Country Club, nobody come and complain about that, so
No.
I wouldn't.
You were talking, his property south of the country club,
His property south.
and then the other portion was most of it southwest on on 16th Street as
Yeah.
well.
We
I think that was pretty much the same exact discussion between Jerry and him. Was that not what you guys had discussed?
Yeah,
Jerry?
exactly.
We talked when, at the last meeting, that the reason behind the map, and of course, is that we've had a zoning map in 1972, and we had another one in 1991. Here it is 2009, or the way we're going, could be 2010, 2011. To be able to put a map in place for a great period of time without coming back and redoing this, because we all realized what a chore this has been to attempt to get there. So it is a map that we hope to live with for 20 years, I hope, or maybe not. Maybe we'll have to. Maybe we'll have to extend our city limits or whatever. But something that the part I can't wrap around is the fact that he owns the land, and if he doesn't sell the land, he doesn't have to worry about any development in the area anyway. God forbid something happens to him, but if not, we are zoned so that things can actually take place. I guess, and I was put on the spot, said, so what's the big deal? You didn't care if you made everybody on South Fifth Street mad, so what do you care about this? And I couldn't answer that.
I guess what, just like Katie mentioned here tonight, are we going to establish precedents? I think this is the number 5 precedent that I see coming out of the council in the last year. I think precedents have been established. I guess the question that I have for the council, or for Adam, has he given the right-of-way to install the water line for the people on South Fifth?
No.
I think that's a completely separate issue, and that's been addressed. They're taking a different route, going south on South 16th Street around county roads, as opposed to going across George Glass's.
Across the section.
Could I interject something?
Sure.
I visited with George, and his main concern is not so much that he's opposed to development, but since he owns that ag land, especially across the road to the east and south of the country club, his concern is that, let's say that the USDA, the Farm Service Agency, or the NRCS, if they would come down with some rules or regulations that would be more stringent as a residential property as opposed to an ag property. And he doesn't know of anything that's coming down the pipe yet, but he's anticipating that perhaps something like that might come down the road as time goes on, and he just does not want to be caught having residential property as opposed to ag land. And kind of the council's feeling is if we can just postpone for a while, or let's say several years, and George is not presently interested in selling that ground, why force him to enter something into a different zoning than what he really wants at the present time, and perhaps further on down the road address that perhaps when somebody else owns the land at some future time. In other words, we question whether or not there's anything to be accomplished by forcing George to do something that he really doesn't want to at this time.
Has the council always done that with people when they reclassified? I mean, I haven't been around, I'm asking.
According to the zoning regulations, the state, you need no landowner's permission to zone anywhere.
Well, I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
is this typically what our city council does, is meet the wishes of the landowners? If that's
We
what
have
they...
spot zoned in the past.
But obviously not, because the landowners on South Fifth wanted water and stuff like that, and they were turned down. So I don't know how many instances there are like that.
And is this really spot zoning? I mean, if we did the west side of the road,
No, this
I mean, I don't see that as
But is he
spot
going to
zoning.
go with the total west side, Jerry?
Well, I think he prefers the 20 acres, not the 40.
That's right.
Is that the front 20?
Because what he said at the council meeting is, I will allow you
Yeah.
to do a certain amount of...
And he
Okay,
knows
so
that
what-
the council can do whatever they want. I mean, I told him that. I said, barring you taking them to court,
Where is 20
they can
acres
do
that
whatever
he's
they
talking
want.
about?
I think he's probably talking about, I would guess, something like about splitting this about in half. I think if you go back to where where Shirley lives and Mars Donmore, you just draw a straight line back, that's about where he wants to go, I think. Yeah.
I think it's the back of Sandy's Boyles.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's the
That's
only...
The back of
South.
Sandy's.
Yeah.
Does she
So-
go,
That's probably about like right in here someplace where he might...
so he wanted to leave some of this behind?
A little bit, and not enough to, I mean, it's not enough to fight over, but evidently it is. Just go straight across there.
Well, it's just another one of you attempting to square up your city ordinances and zoning is, well, let's just take another little piece and stick it in there, I guess.